The arena shook as if the planet itself wanted to flee. Princess Lyra Valen stood at the front balcony, fingers resting on cold gold railings, her breath slow and controlled. Her ornate armor caught the light of 1,000 hovering drones. The blue gemstone at her chest pulsed softly, in rhythm with her heart. She did not look afraid. Below her, millions of voices roared as one. Humanity, Lyra said, her voice amplified across the colossal arena, has always been loud, brave in stories, weak in truth. The crowd laughed. Humans stood in the pit below, bound by energy fields, injured, exhausted, and silent. Soldiers, pilots, scientists, survivors of a lost war. Lyra's blue eyes scanned them with open contempt. They had challenged her empire. They had failed. She lifted her chin, white hair flowing behind her crown like frozen fire. Your legends promise saviors, she continued. Warriors who rise when hope dies, where are they now? Her words were sharp, precise, and cruel. Inside, something twisted. Not doubt, never doubt. Anticipation. Lyra had been raised on conquest. She had crushed moons before her 20th cycle. Every species she mocked eventually broke. Humans were no different. Or so she believed. A tremor rippled through the arena floor. Lyra paused. The crowd quieted, confused. Another tremor followed, stronger. The gemstone at her chest flared bright blue. Her breath caught for half a second. "What is that?" murmured a general beside her. Lyra did not answer. The energy fields around the prisoners flickered. One human fell to his knees, coughing. Another stared at the ground in confusion. The guards adjusted formation, weapons rising. Then the ground split. Not exploded. Split, as if something beneath it was calmly standing up. Stone folded inward, metal bent like paper, heat rushed upward, dry and ancient. A figure emerged from the fracture. He was human, but not like the others. He stood tall, barefoot on molten stone, wearing simple black fabric burned at the edges. His skin was scarred, old scars layered over older ones. His dark hair hung loose, untouched by the ash around him. His eyes were open. Calm. Too calm. The arena fell silent. Lyra leaned forward despite herself. "Impossible," whispered someone. The human lifted his head and looked directly at her. Not at the crowd. Not at the soldiers. At her. Lyra felt it then. Pressure. Not physical, something heavier. Something that pushed against her thoughts and made her chest tighten. The gemstone at her armor cracked down the center with a sharp sound. She gasped. No one had ever made her gasp. The human took one step forward. The energy fields collapsed. Prisoners fell free, staring at him in shock. Guards fired. Plasma bolts streaked toward the human's chest. They stopped, frozen in the air. The human raised his hands slightly, fingers relaxed, almost gentle. The bolts dropped harmlessly to the ground and faded like dying sparks. He spoke. His voice was quiet, but it reached every corner of the arena. "You called for a legend." Lyra's lips parted. Her soldiers hesitated, unsure, afraid. The human walked forward again. Each step caused the arena floor to mend itself behind him, sealing the damage as if reality obeyed his presence. "I was resting," he said. "You were very loud." Somewhere in the crowd, a human began to cry. Lyra straightened, forcing her spine rigid. "Who are you?" she demanded. The human finally smiled. "Not kind. Not cruel. Tired. My name is Adam," he said, "and I don't fight for crowds." His eyes never left hers. "I fight for endings." Lyra felt something unfamiliar crawl up her spine. Not fear. Not yet. But the sudden, terrifying awareness that the story she thought she was telling had never been hers to control. Above them, the stars dimmed. And somewhere deep within the arena, ancient systems began waking up, systems that had not responded to alien commands. Lyra whispered, barely audible to herself, "What are you?" Adam tilted his head, as if considering whether she deserved the answer. Then the ground trembled again. Stronger than before. The arena did not roar anymore. It held its breath. Princess Lyra Valen stood frozen as ancient lights ignited beneath the transparent floor. Symbols older than her empire crawled across the stone in slow, burning lines. The systems did not answer her commands. They ignored her authority. That had never happened before. Adam walked forward unhurried, as if the galaxy itself had slowed to match his pace. Every step sent a soft vibration through Lyra's armor, straight into her bones. The crack in her gemstone spread slightly, glowing with unstable light. She clenched her fists. "Soldiers," she commanded sharply, "form ranks, aim for the head." They obeyed, though fear bled through their movements. Golden helmets aligned, weapons charged. Adam stopped. He looked around the arena, at the wounded humans, the terrified spectators, the hovering drones trying to record something they could not understand. Then he sighed. "Still pointing weapons," he said. "That's usually the part where things go wrong." A general barked an order. They fired. The air screamed. Adam did not raise his hand this time. The bolts curved. They bent away from him as if ashamed of their intent, slamming instead into the armored wall behind Lyra's balcony. Explosions shook the platform. One drone spiraled out of control, crashing in flames. Lyra staggered back. Her heart hammered hard enough to hurt. This was not technology, not psionics, not any known force. This was something else. "You dare stand before a royal arena and mock us," she shouted, anger finally cutting through her shock. "You are one man, one human." Adam glanced up at her again. "So they taught you to count," he replied softly. The humans in the pit stared at him like he was a myth unfolding in real time. Some fell to their knees. Others whispered his name, though none of them had known it before today. Lyra lifted her chin. Pride burned brighter than fear. "Legends are tools," she said. "Invented to comfort the weak, you will fall like the rest." Adam's eyes darkened. "Then you don't know how our legends work." He raised his hand, not in attack but open, palm up. The arena changed. The massive hollow screens flickered, then filled with images not from the present but the past. Human worlds burning, cities falling, children hiding in rubble, soldiers making last stands with broken weapons. Lyra's breath hitched. She had ordered some of those campaigns. Adam's voice carried weight now, heavy and old. "Every species has myths," he said. "Ours are warnings." The images shifted. A single human stood against impossible odds, again and again, different faces, same defiance. "They don't appear to save everyone," Adam continued. "They appear when survival demands a price." The screens went dark. Silence crushed the arena. Lyra felt heat behind her eyes and hated it. She had never been shown consequences, only victories. "You want to scare me," she said, though her voice trembled slightly. "It won't work." Adam lowered his hand. "I don't want to scare you," he replied. "I want you to understand." He took another step forward. The balcony railing cracked. Lyra instinctively stepped back again, her soldiers moving to shield her without being told. "Why are you here?" she asked, quieter now. Adam's gaze softened, just a little, as he looked at the freed humans gathering behind him. "Because you laughed," he said, "and because you didn't stop." Something shifted in Lyra's chest. Not guilt. Curiosity. Dangerous curiosity. "And now," she asked. Adam looked up at the sky, where warships hovered, weapons charging. "Now," he said, "your empire decides whether this ends with mercy." The warships flickered. Their targeting systems shut down all at once. Lyra's crown felt suddenly very heavy. For the first time in her life, an alien princess wondered what it meant to lose, and whether she would survive the lesson. The arena trembled again, but this time it was not the ground, it was the air itself. A low hum resonated through the domed ceiling, vibrating through Lyra's chest plate and the bones beneath. The golden soldiers shifted nervously, their formation faltering. Lyra's fingers dug into the railing as she fought the unfamiliar tightness in her chest. Adam stood at the center of the fractured floor, calm as a storm gathering strength. Dust swirled around his feet. The freed humans behind him moved instinctively closer, yet they didn't touch him. It was as if he carried some invisible field that drew both awe and restraint. A soldier shouted, "Princess, they are moving again, our weapons." Lyra's eyes followed, expecting bolts, plasma streams, any sign of human weakness. But the weapons wavered midair, trembling as if caught in an unseen current. Every laser, every missile, halted inches from its target, then fell harmlessly to the ground. She gritted her teeth. "Impossible," she hissed. Adam finally lifted both hands. The air rippled around him like liquid. His voice, calm yet carrying an undercurrent of authority, boomed across the arena. "Look closely, Lyra Valen. Watch carefully. This is what happens when a legend moves." Then with a subtle motion, the ground beneath the soldiers shifted. It rose like a slow wave, sweeping them off their feet. Armor clanged. Screams pierced the arena, yet no one was harmed. Adam had complete control, and every movement was precise. Lyra's mind raced. Every instinct screamed to command her soldiers to strike, to assert dominance. But she couldn't. Every order faltered. Every thought collided with something stronger, something alive and deliberate. "You underestimate us," Adam said, turning slightly to glance at the humans behind him. "Humans do not follow power, they endure it, and sometimes we rise through it." Lyra's vision sharpened. She noticed small details she had never seen. The way Adam's scars traced paths across his arms like stories etched in flesh. The faint glow in his dark eyes that seemed to pull light toward him. The subtle aura that seemed to twist reality around him. For the first time, she felt small. A low roar echoed from the pit below. One of the freed humans, an older man with a bent spine and trembling hands, stepped forward, gripping a broken pipe like a sword. He looked at Adam, then at Lyra. "Princess," he said shakily, "this is our fight. You wanted to see a legend." He swung the pipe. Adam's eyes followed the motion. With one step, the man's swing stopped midair. Adam's hand hovered near the strike, fingers barely moving. Then, with the gentlest push, he redirected the pipe to the ground. The crowd gasped. Lyra's jaw tightened. She had never seen power like this, power that was patient, controlled, unstoppable. And it came not from technology, not from armies, but from one human standing tall against impossible odds. She turned her gaze back to Adam. You are more than a soldier," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "I am what humanity becomes when it refuses to die," he replied. His eyes met hers directly, unyielding. "I am what you refuse to understand." Lyra's hands trembled slightly as her soldiers scrambled to regain composure. Panic sparked in their eyes. They had been trained for everything, sieges, planetary bombardments, genocides, but not this. Not an unarmed human who could bend the battlefield with a single step. The air shimmered again, weapons wavered. The arena itself seemed to shift subtly, responding to Adam's presence. Lyra realized something terrifying. She had been wrong. Not about humanity, they were weak, yes, but about the measure of a legend. She had thought power was in numbers, in fleets, in golden armor. But Adam had shown her that true power was something else entirely. Something unpredictable, unstoppable, and profoundly human. Her chest tightened. Pride, fear, and fascination collided. She had mocked them, taunted them, and now she faced a force that could tear her empire apart without lifting a single weapon. The human stepped closer. His boots left faint scorch marks, yet he made no sound. Adam's voice carried through her mind, as if the arena itself whispered his words directly to her. "Empress, you wanted a show. Watch closely. Humanity does not bow, we rise." Lyra's breath caught. For the first time, the legend she had ridiculed was moving, not in stories, not in fantasies, but in real, unstoppable action, right before her eyes. And she had no idea what she could do to stop it. Behind him, the humans began moving too, not chaotically, but in synchrony, following Adam's silent command. They were no longer prisoners. They were part of something greater, something dangerous. Lyra felt the first genuine flicker of doubt in her life. The legend was not a myth. The legend was here, and it was just beginning. The arena trembled as the humans advanced. Not recklessly, not blindly. They moved with purpose, guided by Adam, yet still fully themselves. Soldiers who had moments ago stood confidently in golden armor now faltered, their formation broken, confusion and fear overtaking discipline. Lyra's blue eyes narrowed. She gripped the railing as if it could anchor her sanity. "Attack!" she ordered, her voice cutting like steel. Her soldiers obeyed, but the weapons hesitated. Lasers bent midair. Plasma bolts curled away. A squadron of hovering drones flitted toward Adam, then paused, spinning uselessly, frozen in place as though reality itself denied them their function. Adam stepped forward, not a step too fast, not a step too slow. His dark eyes scanned the arena like a hunter assessing prey, though he didn't hunt. He controlled. He commanded with presence alone. One of Lyra's captains charged at him with a plasma sword. The blade hissed through the air. Adam tilted his head, and the sword's trajectory shifted, carving a shallow groove in the ground instead of hitting him. The captain stumbled. "You see," Adam said softly, almost conversationally, "we are more than stories." Lyra felt her chest tighten, fury mixed with fascination. He was a single human, yet he moved with the precision of an entire army. Every step, every breath held weight and consequence. A sudden shout erupted from the crowd. One of the freed humans, a young woman, lunged at a drone with nothing but raw courage. She swung a metal rod, smashing through the drone's outer shell. Sparks flew. The soldiers screamed, but Adam only nodded subtly, and the girl was unharmed. Lyra's crown felt impossibly heavy. She had spent her life knowing she could crush anything in her path. Yet here she was, powerless to stop them. Her soldiers glanced at her, seeking guidance, but she didn't have any. Adam's gaze returned to her. "Do you see now?" he asked, voice calm, carrying the weight of history. "Legends do not wait for permission, they rise." Lyra swallowed hard. She had trained to command fear, to wield it like a weapon. But now, fear looked different. It was not submission, it was recognition. Recognition of something far greater than herself. Another soldier charged. Adam didn't move. Instead, the air around him thickened, subtle vibrations twisting reality. The soldier stumbled, disarmed by nothing visible, then fell to his knees, shaking, staring up at the human who should have been impossible. Lyra's fingers left the railing, trembling slightly. Her mind raced. How was he doing this? What was this power? And, unsettlingly, how did it feel so righteous? A sudden roar split the arena. One of the hovering warships, ignoring every command from her generals, descended rapidly, weapons primed. The crowd panicked. Lyra's heart skipped. "Intercept!" she yelled, voice sharp, desperate. Adam didn't raise a hand. He simply stepped forward. A wave pulsed outward from him. The warship shuddered. Its engines faltered. Systems glitched. Alarms screamed. And then it crashed, bowing to the ground in defeat, untouched by human hands. The arena was silent. Lyra staggered back. Her gemstone flared violently, burning her chest with light. She had faced battles, wars, entire fleets, but never this. Never a human who seemed to bend reality to his will. Adam glanced at the soldiers around him, then back at her. "This is not cruelty," he said. "This is proof. Humanity survives not because we are strongest, not because we are many, but because we rise when all seems lost." The golden soldiers lowered their weapons slowly, unsure if they should obey the princess, or the invisible law that Adam seemed to command. Lyra's voice was trembling now. This cannot be happening," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Adam took a final step forward, closing the distance between them. The ground beneath him seemed alive, shifting in response to his presence. "Do you understand?" he asked. Legends move when they are needed, and today you are witnessing one. Lyra's eyes widened, her pride warring with awe and fear. The arena, her empire, her legacy, they all hung in balance. And somewhere deep inside, a seed of doubt took root. For the first time, the princess realized she had never truly faced a human before. And now she was. The arena held its breath. The legend was standing before her. And the fight had only just begun. The arena's hum grew louder, vibrating through Lyra's armor, through her very bones. She backed toward the balcony, eyes never leaving Adam. Every instinct she had honed over her life screamed at her to strike, to assert dominance, to crush the insolent human before her. Yet every instinct failed. "Stop this," she hissed, voice tight with anger and disbelief. "I am the Empress, you will obey." Adam's gaze softened, not in mercy but in understanding. "You are not wrong," he said quietly. "You are brave, but bravery is not enough." Lyra's chest tightened. His words cut deeper than any weapon ever could. He did not fear her. He did not bow. And yet somehow he carried a calm that unsettled her entirely. "Why are you helping them?" she demanded. Her voice shook, half rage, half confusion. "They are human, they are weak, they are." "Survivors," Adam interrupted. "Not weak, not broken, survivors. They do not ask for mercy, princess. They ask for a chance to stand, just as I do." The humans in the pit stirred, emboldened by his presence. They began to rise, not as victims, but as something new, a collective force guided by a single, unyielding will. Lyra's soldiers faltered. The golden armor she had once relied upon like a shield now felt like a cage. Every command she issued failed, weapons disobeyed. Even the drones hovered uselessly, helpless against the unseen force Adam exerted. The princess took a shaky breath. "What are you?" she whispered, almost to herself. Adam stepped closer, his boots leaving faint scorch marks on the stone. "I am the reckoning," he said softly, yet with undeniable weight. "I am what rises when injustice thrives, and you, Lyra Valen, have thrived on injustice." A wave of heat radiated from him. Lyra felt it against her face, against her chest. It was not fire, not energy, but a presence that made her own power feel fragile. Her gemstone glowed brightly, protesting the invisible force pressing against it. She stumbled back, gripping the railing. You can't, no one can." "You called for a legend," Adam said. "You mocked humanity, you taunted them, and I answered, that is all." Something inside her shifted. Anger still burned, but beneath it, curiosity stirred. She had spent years mastering fear, commanding obedience, ruling without opposition. And now here was a human, one man, defying everything she knew. The arena floor trembled once more, not in anger, not in battle, but in anticipation. Adam raised a hand, fingers relaxed, and the freed humans behind him moved as one, following an instinct they hadn't known they possessed until he showed them. Lyra's gaze locked on his, a silent war waging in her chest. Pride battled fear, authority battled awe, and somewhere deep inside, admiration crept through, unbidden and dangerous. "You think this makes you powerful?" she challenged, lifting her chin. "I am the Empress, my armies, my fleets, they—" Adam tilted his head as if studying her, weighing her words. Then he smiled, faint but undeniable. "Power is not numbers," he said. "Not weapons, not fear. Power is rising when all else falls. Power is choice, and today you are learning that." Lyra's breath caught. For the first time, she felt uncertainty creep into the core of her being. She, who had crushed planets and bent species to her will, now faced someone who didn't fight with armies or even weapons, but with something far older, far deeper. Something human. A cheer erupted from the pit below, not for her but for Adam. It was not loud, not chaotic, but precise, filled with respect and awe. Lyra's blue eyes glinted with a mix of fury and intrigue. She had underestimated humans, yes, but she had also underestimated what it meant to see one rise before her, unstoppable, undeniable, and profoundly alive. The crown on her head felt heavier than ever. Her armor, ornate and radiant, suddenly seemed small, fragile against the legend standing beneath her. Adam took another step forward. His dark eyes met hers again, unflinching. "Your empire thrives on fear," he said. Today, it learns what humanity looks like when it refuses to bow. Lyra clenched her fists, teeth gritted. She wanted to hate him, to command him gone, to reclaim control. Yet in that moment, she realized she had never truly understood humans, and perhaps she never truly would. The arena trembled once more. A storm was coming. Not of weapons, not of fleets, but of something far older, far fiercer. And Lyra Valen, Empress of 1,000 worlds, found herself unable to look away. The legend was walking, and the Empire would never be the same. The arena fell into an uneasy hush. Lyra's soldiers shuffled in place, eyes darting between the humans standing in the center and their princess, who looked both furious and mesmerized. The golden armor that had once symbolized invincibility now felt like a cage, glinting in the flickering light as if warning her of its limits. Adam's presence was calm but overwhelming. He didn't shout. He didn't gesture wildly. He simply existed, and that existence warped the space around him. Weapons quivered in soldiers' hands, energy fields flickered, and even the hovering drones seemed to hesitate. Lyra's blue eyes narrowed. She had always been in control, always. Yet for the first time, she couldn't make the universe bend to her will. She swallowed hard, forcing herself to speak. You think this proves something?" she demanded, voice sharp, yet shaking at the edges. Adam tilted his head. "No," he said softly. "It proves nothing to me. It proves everything to those who believed they were powerless." The words struck her harder than any blade could. She glanced at the humans behind him. They were standing taller now, unafraid. Some lifted broken weapons, some clenched fists. Every one of them had seen the impossible and now believed it could exist. A sudden movement in the crowd caught Lyra's attention. A young girl, barely a teenager, stepped forward from the human contingent. She held nothing but a broken staff, yet her eyes shone with determination. Adam noticed her immediately. He knelt slightly, nodding as if acknowledging her courage without words. Lyra's heart beat faster. The humans weren't just following Adam, they were inspired. They weren't afraid, they were rising. "You are dangerous," she said, finally taking a step closer to the balcony's edge. "I have fought empires, crushed moons, broken planets under my feet, and you stand here and defy me." Adam's gaze held hers. "I am not here to break you," he said. "I am here to show you what it means to rise when the world tells you that you cannot." Lyra's breath hitched. She felt an unfamiliar pull in her chest, a mix of awe, fear, and something else. A strange curiosity, a dangerous thought that maybe, just maybe, she had underestimated what humanity could do. Suddenly, a tremor ran through the arena floor. Not like before, it was deeper, slower, heavier. Lyra stumbled slightly, gripping the railing. The golden soldiers froze, unsure whether to defend or flee. Adam didn't flinch. He simply raised one hand and the tremor stilled, the ground calming beneath his command. The princess stared, her mouth slightly open. "How?" she whispered, but no answer came. Adam didn't give one. He didn't need to. Every soldier, every freed human, every observer knew what they were witnessing. A human standing where no human should, bending the world to his will without cruelty, without arrogance, just presence. Lyra's chest tightened. Pride fought with fascination and fear intertwined with an emotion she didn't recognize. She had always been the apex, the one who commanded obedience. But now she saw someone who could unmake that hierarchy without firing a single shot. She clenched her fists. "You may have power," she said, voice stronger now, "but this is still my arena. I am its master." Adam took another step forward, closing some of the distance. His dark eyes locked onto hers. "No," he said, quiet but sharp. "This is not about masters or empires. This is about the choice to rise when no one else will. Even you, Lyra Valen." The words cut through her defenses. Even her gemstone, cracked but still glowing, seemed to pulse in response. She realized she had never faced a human on equal footing before. Not a human who could challenge reality itself with nothing but willpower and courage. The princess exhaled, trembling slightly. She had a choice. Fight him, risk everything, or watch, learn, survive. Adam's gaze softened just enough to make her pulse quicken. There was no cruelty in it, no arrogance. only a quiet certainty that came from someone who had faced impossible odds and refused to bow. The arena seemed to hold its breath. Every soldier, every human, every hovering drone waited for her decision. And Lyra Valen, Empress of countless worlds, realized she was standing at the edge of defiance, and she had no idea whether she would leap forward or fall back. The legend was here, and the world would never be the same. The tremor beneath them returned, stronger, signaling that the next move would change everything. And somewhere deep in her chest, Lyra felt the first flicker of something dangerous: hope. The tremor rippled through the arena one final time, shaking the golden railings and echoing through Lyra's chest. Her crown felt impossibly heavy. The gemstone in her armor flared, cracks spiderwebbing across its surface, a silent warning she could no longer ignore. Adam stood at the center, calm as a storm. His eyes, dark and steady, held a certainty that defied every rule she had learned about control, power, and victory. Behind him, the humans moved with newfound confidence, forming a silent army of determination rather than weapons. Lyra's voice trembled, yet rang loud across the arena. "Enough," she shouted. "I am the Empress, you will." Her words were cut short. Adam raised a single hand, slow, deliberate. The air thickened. The golden soldiers' weapons froze mid-swing. Even the hovering warships above faltered, their engines sputtering. A wave of quiet authority rolled outward, undeniable and absolute. "You called for a legend," Adam said softly, his voice carrying through the arena without amplification. "And now you are watching one rise." Lyra felt something inside her break. Not completely, not yet, but enough to realize that nothing she had known about power would protect her here. Not her armies, not her fleets, not her crown. Adam's presence was something older, deeper, and more human than any weapon she had wielded. For the first time, she saw humanity as it truly was, resilient, unyielding, and capable of miracles in the face of impossibility. She had mocked them, taunted them, believed herself untouchable, and yet here he was, bending the arena, reshaping reality, and inspiring hope with a single glance. The young humans behind him moved forward, not blindly, but guided by the quiet strength radiating from Adam. Each step, each motion, carried the weight of defiance. Soldiers stumbled under the sudden clarity of their own limitations. The golden walls that had once symbolized domination now felt like fragile cages, easily broken by something they could not fight. Lyra stepped back, finally letting go of the railing. She clenched her fists, not in command, but in disbelief. She wanted to strike, to regain control, but every instinct faltered. Adam's eyes met hers again, steady, unwavering, and for the first time she felt both fear and admiration in the same breath. "You see now," Adam said, taking a measured step closer, "power is not in domination. Power is in rising when all else falls. Power is in courage, in choice, in refusing to bow." The arena seemed to pulse with his words. The air shimmered. Even the distant stars outside flickered, as if acknowledging the moment. Lyra's voice came out quieter, almost unrecognizable. I underestimated you, all of you." Adam's gaze softened, but not in mercy, in understanding. "Then see," he said. "See what happens when a species refuses to be crushed, when legends walk not in storybooks but in reality." The golden soldiers dropped their weapons slowly, uncertainty and awe mixing on their faces. The hovering drones fell silent, unable to function against a force they could not quantify. The Empress, the conqueror of worlds, found herself powerless before a single human and those he inspired. Lyra swallowed hard. Pride still burned, but beneath it, a fragile respect took root. She realized she had witnessed something extraordinary, something she could not control, could not defeat. Adam extended his hand, not to strike, not to command, but in acknowledgement. "This is what humanity looks like when it refuses to die," he said. The crowd held its breath. Silence hung over the arena like a living thing. Then, slowly, cheers erupted, not just from humans, but from those who had come to witness the impossible. It was not triumph over a foe. It was recognition. Recognition of courage. Recognition of legend. Lyra looked at him, and for the first time, she did not see a human beneath her. She saw something greater. something that had risen from ash and fire, a force that could not be crushed. The tremors subsided, the arena stilled. Adam stood tall, unbowed, the humans behind him rising like one heartbeat. And Lyra Valen, empress of countless worlds, understood the truth of a lesson she had never known she needed. Legends do not rise to entertain. Legends rise to change everything. She exhaled slowly. The crown on her head felt different now, not heavy but fragile. Her empire had survived many wars, but this was not a war, it was a reckoning. And in the center of it all, Adam, the human who had answered her taunt, stood unbroken. The legend had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The arena erupted again, not with fear but with awe. And somewhere deep inside, Lyra felt a spark she had never felt before, hope. The story of humanity had begun its next chapter. The legend was walking, and this time the whole universe was watching.